county government.
You're recording.
You know, January 19th, 2014, at 7:30 p.m., I was molested. I had a man come and stick his hands down my pants. Because there was children in the house and I didn't want them to know what was going on, I waited to call the police. So on Wednesday I called the police because there was no school the next 2 days. The next week, it took them a week to get back a hold of me, and they said there was no statutes in the state of Minnesota for anybody sticking their hands down your pants. Now that's either assault, or that would have to be listed under molestation. So,
Gross criminal misconduct.
Gross criminal misconduct. So, why won't they charge a man for that? Because they don't want to bother with protecting the people that needs protecting. We had a young man that was, well, a young man in my eyes because he's younger than I am, that was in a car accident. Social Services rents him a place to live in February. March, he moves in. They do not furnish him no furniture because his furniture is at his mother's house locked up. So he has a mattress to lay on. Now this man has a hospital bed, electric hospital bed, because he had his back broken 5 places. He is a little on the slow side because he actually died 3 times and his brain was starved for oxygen. That is nothing but neglect on their side because all he had was a mattress in the wintertime, no blankets, no pillows, no food, no dishes, nothing. And then he runs out of heat. So he has no way to heat his home because of the system. And all they had to do, and the Social Services is his payee. And we have all these problems up here with vulnerable adults, and nobody wants to help with them. The mentally ill, they set them up to fail. 50% is what the raise of mentally ill is in prisons because they don't wish to help them. They go from 1996 to 2008 or 2004. Prison population went up 50% on just the mentally ill. They set them up to fail. They take their children. We got raided for drugs. They kept sending somebody into the house and setting us up for drugs, which we did not have all this time until he started coming into the house. Come find out, I think, that he was dropping drugs into the house. But when I was talking to the police when I got molested, they said because my son is on a no fight order, he has to take whatever comes his way and stand there and he can't do nothing about it. He cannot protect his family. Is there something wrong with our system today that you cannot protect yourself, your family, and your children? There has to be.
Minnesota has what you call a doctrine, a castle doctrine state. It means a man's home is his castle and he has a right to defend it no matter what.
But they're saying that he did not. He had to stand there and take it. Whatever they sent into this house. I told the man that kept coming to the house and knocking on the door that I was scared of him, and he scared me. What happened to the tape recordings on that? They just up and disappear. They come into the house and they attack somebody that just had surgery. and refused to let us give her Dilantin because she's having grandma seizures. What was they going to do? You know, the outcome is that they are liable for what happens. They said that they're not liable for anything they do in somebody's home. The police is not liable for anything. Assault, attempted murder, anything. They lied. And when they lied, they stood right there at the door and said, as they was going out, we can do to these people anything we want to do. After they left, I took the young lady to the hospital. We went to the emergency room. There was no drugs in her system. But she has to jump through their hoops. She has to go for drug abuse counseling when there was no drugs in her system. Twice she has dropped dirty from over-the-counter drugs 2 weeks before court each time, or 1 week before court each time. Now, there's something wrong with what's going on up here. And the judge put in evidence against this woman when she went to see about her kids and getting custody of them back after the evidence was thrown out. He used it against her, and we had the paperwork in black and white. That was his determination, was what the evidence was that was dismissed from court. I called social services when this started. They told me I didn't need an attorney. I called. They said I would be better off without an attorney. I called and told them I wanted custody of the children. They are my grandchildren. And so they dirty up the waters for me. Yes. I had deliveries being made. They thought it was drug deliveries. January 5th, I had my van totaled. It was 54 below zero. Well, we live 30 miles from Bemidji. It's too far for me to walk for groceries. It's too far for you to walk a mile for groceries either direction in sub-zero weather when they're saying stay in or you could die in 5 minutes from exposure. I had clean clothes brought in. The laundry was done and brought back to the house. Those was our deliveries. And more than one person brought us our groceries, and more than one person brought us our food. Did they ask me about it? No. They just assumed. They want to write up a scenario. They let everybody go except for 1 or 2 people, and they decided they was guilty regardless. Now this is the way the system up here works. We have gotten assaults. A young man was assaulted. They refused, and he was strong-arm robbed. They refused to file any charges against the 2 people that did it. That's wrong. There is no protection for anybody up here.
If you're native.
If you're native, and if you're elderly, or if you're mentally handicapped just a little bit.
Or disabled.
Or disabled. You are screwed. And they even told me to move out of the state. Well, I told them, give me my grandchildren, I'll be happy to move. I shouldn't have to move out of the state. And this will probably have a repercussion of where they will file charges against me now. I get harassed all the time. I get pulled over and stopped all the time. You know, I even moved out of the state, technically. I've been staying in North Dakota across the river, and I just come back and take this young lady to her doctor's appointments, and we go see the grandchildren, and then we come back. And then after my 3 days of being here to make sure that she gets to her doctor's appointments and everything, I go back away. So that way they don't harass her. And that's what it is, harassment. I have found out all sorts of dirty stuff. We got White Earth Police, And they had a police officer sign a search warrant that's supposed to be signed by a judge. Clearwater County does as they please. Paul Bunyan Task Force does as they please. In fact, it's Paul Bunyan Task Force that had the White Earth police officer sign the search warrant. There's something wrong with this picture. They can do anything they want up here. And if you're black, oh my God, you're automatically guilty. It's going to cost a lot of money to straighten out being set up. I have it on tape recorder that they wanted one young man to perjure himself on the stand and say that my son was making meth. He wasn't. They kept sending him and calling up here, and he would go into the bedroom. He very seldom ever spoke to me. He went to the bedroom and talked to him when him and his other half was in bed asleep. He'd wake him up. He'd walk in. He wasn't invited in. What happened to the tape recordings when I kept telling him? He scared me. They tape record everything else. And we can't protect ourselves. There's something wrong with the system up here. And the police won't protect you. The law won't protect you. What's happening? The judges, they do as they please, apparently. Once the evidence is thrown out, they put it back in. We went to court once, and now I have to drop UAs after court was over. It was decided to put it into the court papers that I have to drop UAs. I didn't know nothing about it. I don't care. I can drop them all day long. I just can't go potty on command, but to see my grandchildren, I do drop UAs. Our system is very crooked up here, and we need help. What we need to do is, I'm hoping for volunteers to send...
Come in!
Whoever sees this, to send
Hey,
$1 to $5
we're recording.
to A. Nealon, 129 Sunset Avenue, Northwest, Bagley, Minnesota, 56621. And if you put your address and your name on there, we'll make sure that once we're able to, we'll start sending your money back, because it's going to cost $17,000 for a decent lawyer instead of it all being
Handled by the public pretenders.
public pretenders, because they can't do any better job. And that's what I was told. He needs a good lawyer, because he's looking at 65 years for doing nothing except for sleeping 90% of the time when he takes his medicine. And they've been withholding his medicine from the jail, and he was going to have a psychosis break the other day. And we finally got him to give him his medicine. There is something rotten up here.
And he's court ordered to take his meds.
And if you're Native American, you're fucked. Oh, excuse me, you're screwed, because they look at the color of your skin up here, and this is the most bigoted, racist place I have ever seen in the nation. I have been in Louisiana, and I have not seen the bigots I have up here. That's it. I'll be